try to, so what we're trying to do with this network and the development of the global network is actually to share these best practices that you've already been developing. Hopefully have them adopted, as well as connecting your work and the people you work with in particular with other solutions and solution providers as well. So I think this exchange and the network itself is about learning from each other. All of these best practices and all of the providing the knowledge of the various solutions that are being implemented around the world.
Just
all of these types
so
of
you know, Lloyd, Ed has his hand raised, and Princess Jeppy just joined us.
Okay, excellent. So I'm glad to see Ed is on the call as well. If he wants to say something, I guess it would be great. I haven't talked to Ed for quite a few months.
Ed, can you unmute yourself, please, if you still have a question or comment? Well, in the meantime, now, Lloyd, might be a good time for you to introduce the guests. I stopped recording after the presentation was completed, and I've started recording again. So now might be the time for Jay to introduce himself and his team. Also in the chat, if you could put a link to his website, a description of ways to contact him, that would be very helpful.
Let me see, actually, I think I have it, his website here.
So Jay, this is Andrew Williams Jr. I really do appreciate your presentation today. This is part of a year-long project. I did notice that throughout your presentation, you focused on the local activities that your team is doing. What I'd like to ask, if you're open to adding a narrative to describe how much you impact what's called the Sustainable Development Goals. You impact multiple of those, but it's critically important that you understand that the more you're able to identify and brand your activities with those priorities that are already uplifted by governments and agencies worldwide, the more you'll be able to draw assistance. In addition, you'll allow those of us on the line now to enable us to align ourselves with your efforts. So Jay, please introduce your team if they're here and any commentary you might have.
Thanks, Andrew. I can keep it 3 questions. I'm trying to answer all your questions. I'll try to answer first the SDG goals. Out of 17 SDG goals, we have not focused much to achieve the SDG goals targeted. But as per the government norms and mission, which I was presented, one of the slides is called Odisha Millet Missions, and that is the same practices we are adopting. That covers almost 9 SDG goals, where they talk about water, they talk about poverty, they talk about livelihood, they talk about air, they talk about climate. So altogether, 9 SDG goals can be achieved in that particular, because we are working with the tribal community. So additionally, that SDG goal also comes. If we see sub-sector of the SDGs, then we can achieve more, because we are only sustainable practices we are trying to adopt. We are not promoting any chemical fertilizer steps. So that is an additional win-win situation for us. Question related to how we are making more sustainable. That is why we are developing FPO networking. So whatever the promises, prices comes from the government end, it should be informed first, because community is still not getting the information, which is, I'm saying, the community which is unhitherto, is they have never been reached by many governments, many schemes has not been heard by them. So that's why this FPO network and this team of organization called Yusuf Merali Center, they are reaching to those communities who has never been. And one of the interesting fact, Andrew, that wherever Yusuf Meroli Center works, they go after any climate hazards. So any climate hazard happened, if drought happened or flood happened, they start the program after that incident. So that is the beauty. So the sustainability totally has gone that particular place. Even landslide has happened in Jammu. That's why they have gone those particular area. So everything has cut off. Government program has cut off. So those people have gone that place. Similarly, in Malkangiri, there was a severe drought in that particular area. So that is the motto of this agency, and that's why I'm very enthusiastic to be a part of this program as an advisor. So they always coin any program, any subject after any very severe incident. And most of the state, wherever they are working, and I'm working with them, those are impacted by cyclone, flood, or drought, or landslide. So that is a beauty. And the last question, how we can develop a network, India and Canada or African country. I have developed many programs in Indian African Aid and USAID. Somebody was writing in the chat box also. So if I come across those things, I developed a DFID programs working with 7 countries. And the 7 countries where I was working with: Kenya, Ghana, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, UK. So UK Practical Action was working, and Kenya was working. So those kind of programs can be developed together, and I know Liard is working with many countries. So that can be developed. There are so many EU funds are coming, which is my cup of tea, but that not the agency can do. But we have developed a program with UK Start. We developed with IDRC. We developed program for DFID. We developed work from Bioforsk Norway. So that can be done, and that can be leverage a bigger network. And Meroli Center is very famous connecting with CSR, which I never been in practice. So that is another things in India also, working with many countries. So same company of India, they are putting lots of fund in Africa, lots of fund in Southeast Asia. So that we can leverage, and that we can be a partner, and we can globally we can unite together and discuss the same subject or other subject. And somebody has written a sender framework. I didn't get time to put those things in my presentation. But yes, I work with the drought and disaster for long time period in urban areas. Almost 15 years of experience in drought, disaster, and mitigations. But today I thought I only speak about agriculture. And related to SDG, I think I have tried to answer of your queries, I hope. We will also share our LinkedIn profile and other things, and email of each and every person, so we can be in touch. I think in group mail, all persons' email ID is there. Mr. Chandan's and email ID is there. Please.
Well, I'll turn it back over to Lloyd, but I do want to let you know that we are intending to have action items out of these meetings. So I'll look forward to connecting with you directly, and we'll move forward. I'll turn it back over to Lloyd. Oh, Nikki, you had a question?
Nikki, if you people are planning for COP, maybe I will meet in COP. Are you people are planning to go?
Please repeat that.
Any team members are COP meeting? Any people are planning to go to the COP meeting?
Oh, I'll put together a list for you.
Mm-hmm.
So Nikki, you had a question. We're not hearing you, unfortunately.
Oh, you can't. Oh, her question in the chat is whether you have access to water. Jay, that's the question she has.
Sorry.
Do you have access to water at the location where you are? Is there water accessible?
Yeah, three things. I'll tell you. I got your question. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking me. So 3 things are there where we are working in Jammu and Kashmir. there is a challenge of access of water after certain time period. Where I was working in Odisha, I told you we have selected that area to enhance the access of water rather than selecting an area where water is available. I have shown you the picture where the water was available, but we have not gone because we wanted to work in the drought area. That is, I said, that is the beauty of this organization. They are only working where scarcity is hitting. So access of water was not there, but they were working in this practices, access of own practices, traditional practices for long time, but it was not sustainable. So means to bring it to them and their table to make them sustainable, allow them to get more sources of water by different package of practices that we have taken in field labels, like drip sprinkler practices has been adopted by farmers. Somewhere there's traditional practices also adopted in a bigger scale to lift irrigations. Those things has been in the hilly areas. We are making a check dams, storing water. Then we are making a gravity channels, and it is all designed by the small group of people. They are designing. I'm a hydrologist, so that is my component where we are making it a scaling up based on local scale information, local survey, and vulnerability assessments. That is, we do practices, but we never worked with those area where all are rosy pictures.
Great, thank you so much. I'll turn it back over to you, Lloyd.
So thank you very much. I mean, what we are trying to do, of course, is connect all of the indigenous communities around the world, and we understand that actually Asia, and in particular South Asia, has the highest number of indigenous communities in the world. So connecting with your network and with your work, understand better how we can adopt each other's practices to improve the livelihoods of everyone.
Well, on that note, and I apologize for interrupting you, Lloyd, but let me ask you too, are there any colleges or universities near your site or involved with your activities? Because the outcome that we're trying to accomplish will be replicated in other places. Having a university or higher educational institution involved with you will provide credibility and also engage us with the youth and the students and provide a way for us to provide internships that are demonstrated locally that can be expanded to the other countries where you're working.
Thanks again, Andrew. And what we are trying to to develop a program, one with NABARD. This is again national body where we are working with those organizations. We are developing farm field school, and there is a center. It is developed already in one place in Uttar Pradesh. We are trying to develop one place in Odisha. At the stage of we are dearth of sanction that project from the government of India. If we'll get it, yes, that is our vision also. The youth and women groups should come, get trained, and use those practices again. And rightly in the beginning, Liard said my own previous experience in biochar in 7 countries. I have not shown that thing. It is available in FAO website also. Those things I am not presented because I'm not doing it right now because nobody is welcoming biochar too much in India. But out of India, there are so much appreciation of biochar. And again, somebody has come back to me and they are planning to initiate that program in Telangana state. There's another state. So that we can again scale it up in future, because that is a way we have connected, me and Lloyd connected and discusses how we can do. Now everything is in place. A plan is ready, technology is ready, everything is ready, need to be scaled, and government need to adopt. So we keep forces. Yeah, I think I answered Andrew to your queries.
Yes, I did put my contact information in. In addition to the work I do as president of 5 Points Youth Foundation, I recently launched an export trading company. And since I'm here in the United States, I can interact with USAID and other organizations. I would like to execute a non-disclosure agreement with you so that we can decide how to move forward after this meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, Andrew, we can welcome your all students. We have enough space. It's a kind of hostel. They can come, they can stay with us. I will ask my colleague, Chandan can explain about the facilities. Chandanji, are you there?
Yeah, I am here. Sanchita will explain the facility what we have in UP. We
Oh,
have.
excuse me, could you share your video where it's streaming live if it won't be too much of a drain on your
Oh, you
resources?
can't
That would
see
be
my video as well. Sorry.
Thank
My
you.
system somehow it is blocked. It is not working, my video.
No worries. Chandan, how about you?
Chandan can, he's there.
Yeah. Hi to all. We have our
Greetings.
facility
Namaste.
in.
Namaste. Yeah, great.
Namaste. Thank you. We have our facility in UP as well as in Maharashtra and Jammu and Kashmir also. We have places like hostel facility. We have accommodation in Maharashtra, and we have accommodation for 30 students in UP, and in Jammu Kashmir we have also 30 students, means 30 participants per batches. We have facility in that particular area. We have also facility in Odisha, and recently we have signed an MOU with Bird Banker Institute of Rural Development. They have a program for rural immersion program. In that, they will bring 30 central government officers as well as new recruit officer to stay in our places, and will show them our running programs for their concern and for their benefits, better understanding of rural activities and rural development, rural challenges, and we are trying to do our level best. Yes, sir, please.
And you adding to Chandan's remarks, when I was in MSSRF, I was hosting courses for all food prize junior students. So we were designing a program for all food prize winners from US. Swaminathan Foundation was one of the board member of that food prize program. So we can design a research program for those people, and either for agriculture, forestry, and livestock, and they can be a part of this program, and they can do the study and they can stay at least their durations here.
Well, on that note, Stephanie, let me ask you if the Toronto University has any programs that might be relevant to this.
Well,
Yes.
Absolutely, and that is what we're trying to coordinate as well. So that's absolutely what we should be doing, what we are trying to do, and what University of Toronto as a whole is trying to do regarding climate action, food security, all the sustainable development goals, and also my particular interest in education and bringing in accredited opportunities also for children, accredited and non-accredited, for children to sustainably learn globally in urban and rural places in the developed and the developing world. In school spaces, opportunities to really learn about sustainable and regenerative practices that they can have in their communities and take to transferable to their homes. So yes, absolutely.
Would it be possible in the chat for you to put your contact information, also the link to the university so that they can have a chance to review it, Stephanie.
Wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Lloyd, also this falls within your purview in the Commonwealth. So I'd like to ask you to think about us umbrellaing this under our AHIABGA outreach.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yes. I'm actually overwhelmed by this particular presentation today. I think it's more actually than I understood, but even Jay was doing it recently, and his involvement is escalated beyond what I understood.
Let me make it easier for you. We do have actually AHIABGA.org. It's sitting there as a dormant website. I can undertake this through PRXTC as a corporation, and we can umbrella this under the corporation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this would be a good start by establishing those linkages formally.
We never got around to introducing our guests, so please, those of you that have not spoken or introduced yourself, perhaps you could be so kind as to do so now. Stephanie, I think you've already indirectly started it, so perhaps you could be a little bit more clear about who you are, et cetera, and your interests and activities and how that might be impacted by this effort.
Okay, very well. Thank you so much for that introduction and this opportunity to introduce myself to you. I'm grateful for your presentation, and I'm grateful for the discussions. I'm grateful for the opportunity to further the conversation. I'm a mother of 3 young adults, and I'm in Toronto, Canada. I'm in my final year of my doctoral studies at the University of Toronto, OISE, the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education. And my particular school dissertation interests lie particularly in the social emotional well-being, the internal climate of children in school, having to do with language-based learning difficulties. I am a community learning and community design consultant and I am also the founder and director of the Maui Aloha Project, which is an eco-village initiative that is for sustainable and regenerative and thriving communities, inclusive communities, intergenerational communities, and we're trying to be a blueprint around the world in urban and rural centers for inclusive community design. And we welcome all kinds of agricultural and technological and all the indigenous and cultural wisdoms of the world in going forward with a new kind of design that blends all of the ancient wisdoms with the new technologies in trying to be carbon neutral, in trying to be regenerative and sustainable, in trying to care about planet Earth, and also to care about the inhabitants, the people, and the animals. And we're a conscious design, and I'm part of a network that we're beginning at the University of Toronto, Canada, and trying to establish a network with all universities and colleges around the world who would like to participate in sharing information that we're doing within our schools and within our communities regarding shifting the educational day, the learning day for children, to be more involved in these sustainable practices, in interactions with each other, and in communicating as a world network towards these sustainable practices for communities and for Mother Earth, for food security and housing security. One of my some of my background is in play and outdoor schooling, alternative schooling, holistic education, and look forward to continuing the conversation with everybody. Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much.
Thank
and
you.
make sure you do put your contact information and the link there. I need to do my housekeeping, so give me just a moment. Part of this sponsorship that delivers this platform to all of us here is through the Ed Fu Foundation. I put their mission statement into the chat. There's also at the very bottom a link to a partner request form. So I'd ask any of you that have an interest to complete that process so we can begin to create not just a paper trail of what we're doing, but also provide us with a clear idea of the tools and resources, talent, skills, and abilities, and projects that we have to move forward. Princess Seppi, thank you so much for joining us from South Africa. I know it was a bit after the presentation was completed, but hopefully you'll have a chance to introduce yourself. We're here to provide Indigenous solutions worldwide, and particularly your work with rural women is very important. But Lloyd earlier mentioned that we're involving not just the Indigenous people, but royal, tribal, Indigenous communities, along with businesses, interfaith, and civil society. So Princess Seppi, could you please unmute and introduce yourself?
Thank you so much, Your Highness, Prince Andrew. Thank you so much for this invitation. Thank you to Lloyd and everybody, and good evening. Yes, we are here in South Africa. I was just listening because this is the first of many to come. And I have invited some of our Indigenous communities and people that are really very much interested in the development of our communities, and also who are very much into agriculture. So I think today it will just be for me to listen, and then as we go along, we'll be able to participate so that I can get the how do I say, the core of this journey as to where we are heading, so that then I can be relevant in my participation in the next few days. Thank you so much. And I'm happy to be listening. Well,
the great news is that I've only asked you here to introduce yourself, like your name, your organization, your tribe, etc., and what you're actually doing with the rural community and our recent work with the royals. So this is your opportunity to introduce yourself, please.
Thank you so much. Yes, it is Princess Tepi from the Royal Batlokwa Nation in the SADC region. We are the Batlokwa Nation. We are in all 9 provinces of South Africa and also even in Zimbabwe. So I have founded Future Live Foundation, which is the nonprofit making organization. And I also have the commercial business, which is Naledia Tepi. And thankfully so, we now have our partner in Ambassador Andrew in the US. And we are really seeking to bridge the gap or bring the links of doing business with South Africa, and more so the kingdoms. When we call the kingdoms is what you call the indigenous people in Southern Africa and even in Africa. I'm the vice president of the organization called AIDO, AIDO, which is responsible for SADC region. And we work very closely with indigenous institutions, or how do we say, the kingdoms. And I'm very close to the Eswatini Kingdom, the Zulu Kingdom, the Royal Batlokwa, the Amampondo, and all of those. I'm also part of the network of the South African Princesses Network. I'm also part of the organization of the Women Development Network, Global Women Network, which was founded in Pakistan by our very own Miriam when we started this journey last year, probably around this time. And I'm part of that as well, and many other. But the most important one is that I also sit as the Goodwill Ambassador, Global Goodwill Ambassador, appointed by 5 Point Youth Foundation in the US. The president is Ambassador Andrew, which then said I also sit on the advisory board of 2 organizations that are here in Nigeria. And furthermore, as well, quite an executive board of the Youth Gather, United Nations Youth Arm. And we are still really working hard at that one to get in the youth. But my involvement really is within South Africa and even broader into the region of Africa. And I very much would like to interact with everyone, all the developing countries, so that we can all be at par and share good practices and see how we can get our communities not leaving anyone behind in this decade of action, and making sure that we are all achieving the sustainable goals and make them to be sustainable indeed. I hope I have done justice to the platform. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Well, we do truly thank you as well. Nikki, it seems that your audio, if your audio is available, now you can introduce yourself. Otherwise, we'll move to Karina Taylor and uplift our women first, and then we'll get to the men here. Karina Taylor, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Karina Taylor. I am in the United States. I am a student at the University of Platteville. I'm working on my master's degree. I'm currently taking a course in intercultural change leadership, and part of that, participating in this event today, I just really wanted to kind of gain knowledge, understanding of the concerns, those conversations that are happening across the world, affecting sustainability and in particular cultural issues. So I am happy to be here, and thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Again, please feel free to enter your contact information and email if you'd like additional information for this. If there are any other, oh, Sylvia, if you can unmute and introduce yourself, we'd appreciate that.
Just here at a friend's house helping. So not that convenient. Hello, certainly I got introduced to Angela and then introduced to Stephanie was working with us. So Stephanie just spoke, so thank you, Stephanie. So I was a bit distracted with helping a friend, but thank you very much. So look forward to continuing this adventure with everyone.
Well, thank you so very much. And since you mentioned her, Angela, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself?
Could I quickly ask where Sylvia is located?
Oh, go right ahead,
sure.
Sylvia.
I'm in the Ottawa, Ontario region. So we are developing and looking at a sustainable living community. So we are continuing the journey. It's not as simple as I would love it to be. So just in the throes of it all, seeing the vision, seeing brainstorming. So this is helpful. I mean, just to see what other people are doing and what's working, what's not working. So look forward to this global adventure together for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Angela, are you able to?
I am. I'm off mute. Hello, everybody.
I
I hope you're having a beautiful day or evening, whatever it is for you right now. And it's so nice to see so many people that I know on here. My name is Angela, and I'm the founder of Kindred Kitchens. And I am launching the Restaurant Evolution, and I basically bridge the gaps in the food industry by connecting them to other industries, because everything is connected. So we do that holistically, providing sustainable solutions. So I know a lot of people on here through our sustainable development goals, such as Lloyd, Andrew, Stephanie, Sylvia, and probably a few other people. I am also taking on some projects. I'm in this intentional community group. I'm on the Climate Smart group as well for our Climate Smart kitchens. And then I'm really excited about a new contract I have coming up where I'm going to be improving the nutrition of 33 daycares by making plant-based solutions. So this might be our first Climate Smart pilot project as well.
Wow, great.
Yeah. So that's me. I'll put my stuff in there if anybody is interested in contacting. I really enjoyed this presentation. It was really, really informative. Is there anywhere we can access the slideshow for afterwards?
Jay, that's a question to you. I'm not sure, Jay, if you can unmute yourself. Is it possible for you to share the presentation that you made here to those, or to Lloyd or myself, and we can distribute to the emailers, or if there's a link online? On the screen, I brought up your website.
Oh,
That
I
was
will send it the
fantastic.
link to you. Yeah, I'll send it the link to you. Presentation, the mail, the same mail which I received morning.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it possible to send it here as well? I can send
Yes.
it to.
You can send it to either reply to all or make sure Lloyd or I get it. We'll distribute it to those emails that we have on today's meeting.
Yep. So we'll have a lot more connections after this meeting as well. We had a fairly good turnout for this. Quite a few people registered as well online.
You're breaking up, Lloyd. You have to do a Hollywood redo. Use your auditorium voice.
Yeah. So I was just saying that we had a fairly good turnout for this meeting, and a lot of interest from the last just 12 hours of promoting this event. Many people on the Eventbrite page that had never registered for previous events, and as well on Facebook. So we've been promoting these events through social media primarily.
Well, before you go forward, let's complete the introduction of our guests. If that would be okay with you, Lloyd?
Oh, yes, of course.
Now, there is a request from Muhammad. So Muhammad, if you could introduce yourself and unmute and video yourself if possible. Okay. Ed, I see that you're here. Are you able to introduce yourself? If not, Lloyd, then I'll turn it back over to you. We've been here about 90 minutes. We have about 20 minutes left if we so choose, or we can wrap it up when you choose. The ball's in your court.
I think at this point, we've actually had some good discussions. What I wanted to do was actually also share a short 6-minute video. I'm just going to put it in the chat there with the link. I'm not sure if I can get my own video working, but this was actually shared with me yesterday. If people want to share the chat and watch that later, it's only a short 6-minute video.
Yeah, it's only 6 minutes, so I'll share it. Well, give me just a moment, please.
Mm-hmm. And then another link to a website I will share here, which was also shared with me yesterday, and I looked at it quickly.
First, go to shopify.com. Grammarly is your personal writing assistant for clear emails,
Technology is only great when it works.
This is why I actually was not wanting to do it on my own computer. A little bit slow.
Well, you can. I'll stop sharing here if you like.
No, you can continue.
You can go right ahead.
Well, I was saying that I don't want to do it from my computer. It's too slow.
Oh, okay, I'll try that again.
We've been told a story that we are selfish, aggressive, rugged individuals.
I don't hear us.
We've been told a story that we are selfish, aggressive. We've been told a story that we are selfish, aggressive, rugged individuals. But if that were true, we should have no problem with physical distancing and self-isolation. The pandemic showed us that this story is not who we are. That's because we evolved in cooperative bands of kin and non-kin, where we were nurtured and welcomed by all members of the community. We lived together, we gathered food together, we sang together, and we danced together. We knew it would have been impossible to survive on our own, but together we thrived. Today we are living in a culture that goes against everything it means to be human. Our culture emphasizes toughness over tenderness, isolation instead of togetherness, even for babies. As a result, we are depressed, anxious, chronically ill, and at the bottom of every international indicator for health. We are stuck in a cycle of competitive detachment where we feel disconnected from others and even ourselves, while at the same time feeling we have to compete for anything worthwhile. There's a way not only to break this cycle, but to create a new one that reclaims our humanity and helps us heal ourselves and our culture. We can create a cycle of connected, cooperative companionship. For most of our existence, we have created culture from the bottom up, from the way we raise children, and from the top down, from the stories we told one another. Children were nested in loving, supportive village care, growing deep connections to and respect for the natural world. In modern culture, children are raised with disconnection, with little concern for their basic needs, and with an almost random set of relational experiences. They still hear stories conveyed by various media, but they are full of put-downs, egoism, and violence. Babies require an external womb experience to grow and connect with others. They need calming, affectionate care, immediate responses to keep them optimally aroused while rapidly growing brain connections. Without this early care, without meeting our millions-year-old biological needs for our evolved nest, babies learn a pattern of disconnection from the self, from others, and from the world, manifesting in self-protective mindsets and irritation with people from different backgrounds or with different ideas. We withdraw from social life because it's just too painful, triggering the traumas we experienced early on in life. We constantly seek to fill a void we were never biologically intended to experience. The good news is that it's possible to break this cycle of competitive detachment and restore the cycles of connected, cooperative companionship. We can learn what our basic needs are and find ways to help everyone get them met. We can take steps that open our minds and hearts and build empathy towards others who are different from us. We can become aware and careful about where we put our greatest asset, our attention. We can build attachment to the natural world by immersing ourselves in its beauty and developing our connection with its aliveness. Cultures can and do change. It begins with each one of us realizing our inherent nature to be empathic, flexible, and sovereign beings, followed by taking steps to heal and restore our core nature. Many of us assume that the culture we live in mirrors innate human nature, but today's dominant cultures of competitive, destructive detachment are rare and recent. Nearly every other culture that has ever existed during our species' history over millions of years has been one of connected, cooperative companionship. To heal ourselves and our world, we simply must return to this way of nurturing children and communities. For more information, go to breakingthecyclefilm.org.
Fabulous.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So that was shared actually just late last night for me by one of my colleagues who's actually in one of the islands of the Caribbean. He's there. He's a medical doctor. And he's been having a conversation with us by email. He was actually one of the instigators who helped to develop the original organization called We Energize Global Cooperation Turtle Island, and developed that whole concept of creating the life value peace education program. And the purpose that we wanted to create this was to actually develop these learning gardens, and now that we are implementing the Learning Gardens network, this was
excellent.
Now coming full circle back to.
Well, I'm going to take the chance to show a 2-minute video about the Sustainable Development Goals, just for those that may not be familiar with it. Of course, not perhaps anyone in our audience, but our wider audience. We are sharing this on Facebook as well. So give me just a moment, please.
And at the same time, I'm going to be sharing a link as well to a website that Dr. Saheli shared recently as well.
Can we, can somebody post the link for the Facebook share in the chat, and I'll share it too? I tried to find it on Facebook, but I couldn't.
Their mission is huge, but we're breaking it down in 2
Okay,
minutes.
we'll do that.
17 sustainable development goals. Let's get to them, because the more you know. Look, in some corners of the world today, people are living on $1 a day. Hey, that's not how it ought to be. So goal 1, eliminate poverty, and goal 2, root out hunger across the globe. There's 800 million people hungry, if you want to know. Number 3 is health and well-being, and getting people the health care that they need in. Learning in school are the hard to go for. Education opens up minds and doors. Goal number 5 is empower girls and women so they can have the same rights that men are given. Number 6, people need water that's clean. Poor sanitation can spread disease. Carbon-free energy is goal number 7, and how to achieve it is a question that's pressing. But if we put our minds together and work hard, we can find a solution, I'm guessing. 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in. 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in it. Now imagine that you work all day for no pay. Economic growth and decent work is goal 8. Goal number 9 is to foster innovation in infrastructure and industrialization. Goal number 10, inequality reduction. 11 is sustainable city construction. 12, well, that's sustainable consumption. So what we use matches up with production. Goal 13 calls for urgent action to combat climate change, cause we know it's happening. 14, protect life under seas. 15, protect life on land. Goal 16 is for peace and justice. All over the planet, they're in high demand. And the final goal, number 17, is the critical factor, the heart of the machine. It's the strength in the way we achieve these goals of sustainable development around the globe. Yo, 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in it. 17 sustainable development goals to improve life all around the globe. Protecting human health and the environment. Whatever bed we make, we gon' have to lie in it.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So I think if there are no more additional questions or comments, we may want to wrap up now.
Okay, well, the floor is open for any closing thoughts or remarks.
So I think that is a catchy video for those that really like rap. I don't know if you have a version without the rap, but anyways, that's just my thoughts. I mean, the senior generation maybe they'll like it, but maybe I just need to listen to it. Maybe I just need to listen to it again.
The great news, Sylvia, is that once you go to YouTube and type in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, you'll have a plethora of choices.
Oh, perfect. That's what I need. Thank you.
Actually, we chose this particular version of telling the story and about the Sustainable Development Goals because we are actually trying to engage with youth, especially those who are engaged in hip hop culture. Whether it's in the Black community in Los Angeles, where Andrew is, or in other communities around the world, this is where the youth is headed and is following these trends.
Definitely. I mean, we definitely need to catch the attention of the youth for sure.
Mm-hmm. So this is actually one way we're actually working. Andrew is actually an ambassador of Generation Hip Hop, which is a global network of itself. So one of our network of networks is this network of artists. So we are very much trying to plug into all of the creatives in the world to help to disseminate these messages. So this is part of our what we call our HEPTA matrix partnership model, which has 7 sectors. So taking the public-private partnership model way beyond where it is today to the 7 different sectors and connecting people in the local community to those within those 7 sectors to have conversations at the community level about solutions that need to be applied locally. This is this process of globalization. Thinking globally, acting locally. So this is actually what the Ad hoc International Advisory Board of Goodwill Ambassadors is trying to do, is globalize those sustainable development goals. So thinking globally of the goals, but acting locally within the context of these local partnerships. We can also have global partnership connections, which is what Pradhan Markham did in the early days. We created what we call the Community Climate Action Hub, which is essentially this partnership where we have this connection to our own community, but then we created a collaborative exchange program, which is how I got connected to people like Andrew, how I got connected to others around the world who have their own solutions, which we may be able to learn from, and then they may be able to learn from us, depending on what we might be doing. So this is the rationale for creating this global unity network to exchange ideas, to exchange information, and as we said earlier, best practices culturally, and learn from each other, both from the let's say the solutions point of view, but also from the cultural point of view.
On a final note,
think globally, act locally.
Yeah, on another note, one of our Goodwill ambassadors is Valerie Wood Gagner out of Wales. She's 80 years old, so she's our intergenerational ambassador. So we're trying to cover the full spectrum. Okay, with that, we're nearing 2 hours. So I'm going to share my screen where we began. Another opportunity for any closing thoughts. Well, thank everyone for attending. if your email address is in the chat, I'll send along to you a link to this, but it's also streaming and replaying on Facebook on the Encounter Think Tank group. So it's all there. Thank you so much for joining us. On the screen, you'll see at the bottom our sponsors. On the left is the Universal Citizens Media Network. We also have a Facebook page. And the idea is that we can empower ourselves for our own narratives, as there are only 5 corporations owning 95% of the world's media. We can actually, I think, achieve a balance only if we as grassroots individuals take control of our own narrative. So we will be rebroadcasting this on a wider network. The next logo at the bottom is the Community Development Corporation from Mariam Khan in Pakistan, then 5 Points Youth Foundation, Agri-4 Development, represented by Fule, who's part of our national or regular meeting group, and the AHIABGA, the Ad Hoc International Advisory Board of Global Ambassadors. And finally, there's the Ed Food Foundation. So with that, I'm going to thank everyone for attending. We'll be here next week and for the next 46 weeks, 48 weeks through May the 26th of 2022. That will carry us through the Africa Day on May 25th. To keep in mind that there are over 3,000 indigenous tribes in Africa, and they're all part of our collaborative.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to round this up.
Great day. And I wish you all a wonderful weekend as well.
Thank
we have
you.
a rainy day over here, but
Thanks, everybody.
we'll enjoy it.
All right,
Thank you so
namaste, everyone.
much.
Love to everyone.